Hey everybody, it's John here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in Yesterday Origins, grabbing the Mystery at the Abbey achievement. This is to find every single hotspot and item interaction in Chapter 2 when you are in the monastery. First off, once you get control of your character, make sure you hit Y to do the self-examination. You want to get your bald spot, your hood, then you want to get the rope that's basically like a belt for your robe. You want to get the bottom side. And then finally, the back of your sandals right here. Turn around and make sure you get this piece of parchment on your desk. Walk towards the center cubicle and then make sure you interact with the chandelier. Then we're going to get to this cabinet, which is going to be behind your desk, and there's a couple of things in here that we need to grab. First off, you want to grab the salt off of the top shelf. You are going to need this for a puzzle later. Make sure you interact with the paper in the middle shelf. This is going to be an item that you don't pick up, but you do have to examine it for the interaction. And then on the bottom shelf should be a compass. Make sure you pick that up too. As always, whenever you pick up an item, you want to make sure you examine it in your inventory. So hold left trigger and then A over your items. Make sure you examine the sea salt and the compass. There's no secondary interactions with those, so you don't have to worry about that. Go back to the middle desk and then interact with it. You are going to find a spool of thread right here. Make sure you pick that up. Once again, interact with it using left trigger. And then finally, we are going to examine the desk one more time, and we should be done with the middle cubicle, so we can head over to the far left cubicle. Over here, you have the window. Then you have this bookshelf, and then finally the bell above the bookshelf, which does have two secondary interactions, the bell itself as well as the rope connecting it. Then what you want to do is you want to interact with the monk who's sitting down right here, writing his scripture or whatever. Do the thing where you hit Y to explore before talking to him, and then he's going to have some stuff here. So first examine his head, then what you want to do is you want to turn him around and examine his hood. Then you want to get his stomach, and then finally this tear in his robe by his right hand, which is going to be your left, so right here. It should look like a pocket, basically. Alright, finally in this room, we are going to enter a dream sequence, so head to the far right. There should be a bandana on this far right window. Put that on, you'll go into flashback mode, and then you'll be here in this kind of chapel area with all the other monks. So first off, you want to get the windows in the background right here with the stained glass. You should get a clue with that. You can't interact with that right now, so just hold on to that. Interact with the head monk right here. I believe his name is Hines or something. Make sure you examine him. So look at his eye, and then look at his fist right here. Then what you want to do is you want to examine the book on this podium. After that, we're going to get this monk right here, who's going to be our best friend. I forget all of their names since they're all old European names. So explore that. You will notice that he has a mole right here. Make sure you look at that. And then the second thing is his hood. So turn him around and grab that. Next up, you have the third monk, who's actually yourself, but you're looking at this in third person because it's a dream sequence. Examine yourself like a self-examination, but this time you want to hit Y. This time you want to get the same things: your bald spot, your hood, the ropes that hold your robes together, and then finally your shoes. Alright, next up is going to be the fourth monk from the left. He's going to be the bald guy from earlier. So same thing, hit explore. Make sure you get his hood, his head, the ropes that hold his robe together, and that tear by his hand. And then finally, you want to get the monk that looks like Two-Face, which is going to be the one on the far right. Make sure you examine him, and then he has some stuff. First off, you want to get his eye, the side of his neck, as well as a rosary he's holding. Alright, last hotspot of this segment is going to be this vent right here, right next to the door. Make sure you get that before exiting. Once you exit, you should be back in this place. You should have gotten 2 clues, so hold right trigger and then re-interact with those. You have the windows and then the choir. After you get everything done in here, you can finally leave. The door is going to be right here on the left side. Head outside, and you want to make sure you get the candles on the bottom right here. You also have this statue of King Henry III, I believe. Make sure you get him, and then you have the window between the 2 doors up here. Make sure you go between and hit A to look up here. You want to try to walk to the far left, and that will actually count as a hotspot, so try to exit, and then you'll get this scene of the monastery from the front. Then what you want to do is you want to head into Father Hines' office, which is going to be this door right here, the closed door essentially. The only real thing in here is going to be a conversation with him. You can't move around in here until way later, but he gives you a clue, which is going to be the key. Make sure once you step outside, you interact with that clue, hold right trigger, and then hit A over key, and you should get that hotspot. Head into the workshop, which is going to be up these stairs. Once you're in here, there's going to be a ton of stuff in here, but you're going to talk to Father Ezekiel first, who's going to give you a clue, which is going to be the tear, right trigger, hit A on the tear, you should get that. Alright, once you have free control of your character, examine the table on the bottom left. You will get this tube thing that looks like a periscope. It's a periscope, essentially. It'll go in your inventory. Then you want to hit B to close, and then you want to interact with the desk one more time, and that'll actually count as a separate hotspot. Interact with the periscope once it's in your inventory. Hold left trigger and then examine it. Then you want to head to the right. You want to examine this whetstone right here. It's basically the giant wheel thing for polishing metal. You want to get the window, and then you want to look up here above the fireplace for the rope. Make sure you pick that up and add it to your inventory. Once again, hold left trigger, hit A over the rope, and then get that hotspot. Then you want to look over here by the anvil. There should be this little workbench thing. Grab the chisel out of that. Another item means another left trigger, hold, hit A, and then we are going to walk all the way over here. This one's very missable. You have a mannequin on the ceiling. Make sure you look at that. And then finally the printing press, which has 4 secondary interactions. You have the press itself, the lever, the typeface, and then finally where the paper goes. And that one's a little tricky since the A button interact doesn't show up, but you just kind of want to hit A anyways. You just kind of want to fiddle around with the camera, and eventually you should get the right spot. Just hit A, and once the text pops up, it should count.
That's where you put the paper.
Alright, now that we got all the items, you want to head over to Father Ezekiel. Make sure you hit A and then Y to explore him. He is going to have his eye, his hair, which you'll notice he doesn't have a bald spot because it's winter and he grew it over or something like that. Also get his tool belt and his shoes. Alright, he should give you the E key that he's missing. It's basically an example. Make sure you examine that. It's a stuck E key with a keycap. He should also give you another clue in the form of glasses. Right trigger, hold, and then you should look at it. You'll end up in front of this painting right here. Once you hear which one of these you want to interact with the fountain, there's going to be 2 secondary interactions. First, you have the ice right here, and then you have the base of it. So make sure you get those 2. And then you have a little puzzle, which I'm going to help you out right here. So basically you want to use that salt we grabbed earlier in the scripture room, and that will melt the ice. And in here is going to be something we need for another puzzle. So do that. Make sure you interact with the water, and in here is going to be a metal disc you need to grab. To grab it, you need to use the chisel. So use the chisel, and that should pop it up, and then add it to your inventory. Make sure you interact with it once it's in your inventory. Hold left trigger, hit A, get the interaction, and then we're done with that. Make sure you get the 2 torch holders right here, one on the left, one on the right. Then you want to get this very missable one, which is going to be this shackle right here. Make sure you look at it. You get a little flashback to the prologue. And then the last item is going to be this painting, which has a few sub-interactions. Firstly, you have the middle right here, you have the bottom, and then finally you have this circle thing at the bottom, which is actually a keyhole that we need to solve a puzzle to open up later, but we are going to switch it on first by using the compass. Use that. It should turn into another sub interaction. Interact with it now that it's open, and then we are supposed to figure out how to open it which is the whole point of this chapter. Leave by heading to the right. This should put you back in the main hallway. Once we are out here, we're going to head back into the workshop, and then we're going to talk to Father Ezekiel again. Make sure you hold left trigger and then give him the spool of thread. That will give you another clue in the form of thread. Right trigger, hit A over it, and then we are supposed to go look for his glasses. So look into the window, and then you want to use the glasses clue to look out. You should find his glasses. Use the rope to grab it. Hold left trigger once you get the glasses in your inventory, and then make sure you examine it. And then we are going to use that whetstone to polish up that disc from earlier. So do that. It should turn into a new item, which is the polished disc. Make sure you interact with that. The disc should turn into a mirror now. You want to combine it with the periscope tube to make a periscope. Then you want to interact with said periscope now that it's fixed, because it counts as a different item, obviously. And now we can use this thing to solve another puzzle. So go back into the hallway. You might remember that window from earlier. Make sure you use that periscope on it to get some more clues. You will get the spy clue, and of course, once you have control of your character, hold right trigger, interact with it using A, and that should play back the thing. Head on inside back into the scripture room, and then you want to go over here, talk to this guy, and then make sure you interact with him, hit the Y button to explore, make sure you combine the tear with the tear in his actual robes, and that should give you the thief clue. Hold right trigger, hit A over thief, and this is actually where I popped the achievement. 30 gamer score for it, but of course you may pop the achievement earlier or later depending on you, so it's going to include the rest of the collectibles in the playthrough. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that chisel and combine it with the key cap from earlier. That should free the key, and now we have two items, the cap itself as well as the key. Make sure you examine both, and that will count as two interactions. We're going to do the thing where we need to distract the guy so he can get up and we can look at his stuff. The basic thing you're going to do is go over to the blindfold, have another flashback, then you're supposed to go to the middle desk, use the glasses and the spool of thread to pull a thread, and that should ring the bell or something like that. Then you want to go over to the guy's desk. You should notice that he stole all the keys. You're going to take them and add them to your inventory. Make sure you interact with them once you have them, and then we're going to bring this back to Father Ezekiel in the workshop. Alright, the two monks are going to have a little spaff. The one guy's going to leave, and then you can grab his cat o' nine tails from under his desk. Make sure you interact with that, and then you have access to the window next to his desk. Make sure you exit out. There should be a few sub-interactions out here. Firstly, you have the ground, the window next to you, and the plank of wood above you. After grabbing those three, what you want to do is you want to combine the cat o' nine tails with the rope to build a whip. You're going to use this to swing into the dude's office so you can steal the key. Make sure you interact with the whip before you do that though. Once you come back with the key, you should have it in your inventory. Make sure you interact with that, and this is going to be the last item. Finally, you're going to go back into the main hallway. Make sure you try to go into the workshop. You are going to stay out of it because there's a fight going on. But once you get that, that should be the last hotspot. Just head to the left and then open up that painting to get the last cutscene. That's going to be it for this level, but don't forget to check back soon for more. And that's all there is to it.